the school system, the education system, and essentially the government, and also the way some parents think. Because in order to be an entrepreneur, you have to be completely different from others. Cryptocurrencies do fascinate me indeed, and one of the first methods of decentralized finance.
What makes you hungry?
I think it's time for the banks to rethink their existence, and I'm never, settling for a 9 to 5 work ever in my life. One of the hardest moments was
So without further ado, I'm Josh Roy, and this is Capital Tycoon, the place where future billionaires come to get inspired.
My first guest is a 17-year-old entrepreneur with a $1 million startup. Wicked is a fashion marketplace that is the first to accept crypto in the industry and involved brand new US VC technology. Nikita, my first question to you is, what does entrepreneurship mean to you?
Well, you see, I always thought that entrepreneurship is directly linked to innovation. So, as an entrepreneur, you want to continue innovating the market, the industry, or creating something brand new. So I think entrepreneurship is innovation and creativity all together.
Nice. And also, it's a very broad term, isn't it? Like everybody has different definitions of entrepreneur. So I like that definition. It's it's about innovation. It's about creativity and just building new stuff, I guess.
Exactly.
Yeah. How long have you been an entrepreneur, and how did you start your journey?
Well, at this point, I mean, my journey started back when I was about 12 years old. I started quite young, but obviously I didn't go into the tech world straight away. I started as a sneaker reseller, which was quite popular at the time. I was after some easy cash. So I really wanted to start something, and I just started selling sneakers. But I was really upset about the system and how everything worked, and I hated the fact that it's very long, it's very inconvenient. So I think when I started Wicked, it was the idea of making everything more convenient and just better for everybody. So I consider myself as an entrepreneur from about 15 years of age, when I started thinking about Wicked and innovation and what could I bring to the industry. I originally started Wicked when I was 16 years old, so we're gonna hit 1 year mark in June, so in about 2 weeks' time, essentially. There was that moment when I thought that sneaker reselling is not a thing for me anymore. I wanted something bigger. I wanted more. And at that time, I had a few friends around me who were really into crypto, such as Dennis, for example. You might know him. And he was a huge influence on me at the time. He was, like a crypto guru, like an expert in it. And the fact that we're right now working in the industry is big thanks to him as well. And in June last year, I thought that I needed to move on. I thought that I needed to do something bigger, something great, and just innovate the market, completely revolutionize the industry. So at that time, my proper entrepreneur journey started.
Was there a pivotal moment which made you start? I'm just wondering.
I think it was when I closed kind of the reselling business. It was April, just a few months before. It was the time when I kind of hit the rock bottom, essentially, in the business sphere. I closed everything. I was wondering what I'll do next, and at that very time, I understood that I have to keep going. I have to do something bigger than that. I can't settle for less.
Yeah. And not many young people like you and I are entrepreneurs. Why do you think that is?
Well, I'm going to blame the school system, the education system, and essentially the government, and also the way some parents think. Because in order to be an entrepreneur, you have to be completely different from others right now, which I think is, it's not necessarily bad, but the way the education system is structured is you have to do what they tell you. You have to follow certain rules. You have to answer, there's just only one answer to a question, which is never the case, especially in the business industry. And, as an entrepreneur, you can answer one question with a lot of different answers, essentially. So I think it's a lot due to the fact that the school fails a lot of people and makes them these employee type people, which I refuse to be, and I'm never settling for a 9-to-5 work ever in my life. Some people are not afraid to go against that system and do something that will make them stand out and make them a bit odd, but at the same time I think that will make the process actually interesting, and that's why we're so special. So if I was give an advice, for example, I think don't be afraid to stand out, and always just keep going with your ideas, some of the creations. You never know where you'll get with them.
I completely agree with you. I think the school system is it doesn't encourage young people to become entrepreneurs, because it teaches them to work for someone else, being compliant and just essentially training you for the traditional corporate 9-to-5, and not giving any freedom to young people to follow their passion. And I think the book Rich Dad Poor Dad, have you read it, by the way?
Which one, sorry?
Rich Dad Poor Dad?
Yes, of course.
Yes. Yeah. I think it says that financial education is not taught in schools, and the school system is outdated. So it's, I 100% agree with you. They should do more. And so, yeah, I think it's just a lack of financial education, and not teaching money, about the basics of money. They don't even teach that in school, and instead they teach like Pythagoras. Like, who needs Pythagoras in real life, honestly? So yeah.
Well, to a certain extent, of course, I agree with you. I mean, maths is obviously the fundamentals of finance and the financial industry. Of course, I mean, Pythagoras may be needed at some point. Well, maybe, not sure, depending on what you want to do. But I think I totally agree that the school system is outdated. Now the schools try to get more into it, although I think it's more of the kind of the private schools rather than the kind of public schools, really. So in my opinion, the school system should be changed. And the fact that so many young people by the age of 18 don't know how to invest, how do banks work, how to just stay financially stable in the current economic situation is terrible, because then we get so many people who lose money just because they just don't know a lot of things. And it's pretty much the school that should really teach you that. But also we must remember that parents must play a certain role in your education. Therefore, for example, my parents never were such a big influence on me in terms of getting into entrepreneurship. However, my father, we always talk about finance, and he did teach me a lot about it. And also, I would say read a lot, because while you're at school, obviously the school is kind of the basics for you, to get into uni, and then, that opens some doors for you into society. So you get into a certain kind of group of people who, finish uni and you think you're successful. But at the same time, if you ask, let's say, a university graduate about financial markets and how do they actually work, something that old people probably should know, because that directly links their lives, and he says he doesn't know, then that's a problem, and we have to really fix it. So obviously in London, as London's a very multicultural city, and people get educated here all the time, a lot of people should start reaching out to others more about that, and actually learn and keep reading a lot. because eventually what we get is a population that doesn't know how banks work and how to keep their money in a safe place, especially with a recession coming right now. It's a very hot topic. So I hope people actually start thinking about that.
Couldn't agree more. And I guess that's how you encourage more young people to be entrepreneurs, by reading financial books.
Well, of course, books do play, a certain role in becoming an entrepreneur, and I know you read a lot. I read quite a fair amount as well, because obviously starting at 16, you have to, get that knowledge just so you're on the same page as others, and there's no limit to your growth as a person and the growth of your skills as well. I think when I started originally, I was really influenced by my circle of friends, the people that were around me. So it's really important, if you want to go down the kind of business route, entrepreneurship route, you should aim to have people around you that are also interested in that and that are hardworking. They are ready to put the effort in. They're very passionate about what they do. It's really key, because I was really influenced a lot by my circle, and that's why I'm an entrepreneur right now. Without people that influenced me before, I don't think I would be where I am right now.
I think, yeah, networking is really important in the business world, especially because you are who you surround yourself with at the end of the day. So I agree. Do you believe we all have a purpose beyond the 9 to 5? And how do people find it?
Well, the system is structured that way that we always have to, have people that work 9 to 5. That's just how it is, because, I have a team of 30 people, and if they wouldn't work 9 to 5 for me, then obviously I would be in big trouble if everybody wanted to become entrepreneurs. And as an entrepreneur, you have to be a bit geeky, a bit crazy, a bit odd, as I said before. So I think not all the people have a purpose beyond their kind of 9 to 5 job. Some people are the way you need them, essentially. You need the IT specialists. You need, people who complete ordinary jobs, let's say, I don't know, chefs or cleaners or everything like that. You need those people because they're vital for our system. However, there are people who are so creative, they could have such a bright future, but instead they decide to go into, let's say, banking and, investment advisors and everything like that. And, if you're creative and if you're passionate about what you do, I'll just say, just go for it, because it's not as much that you would lose. But after a few years, when you're like, a big boss in a bank and, you're sitting there and enjoying your life, but eventually you're still working for somebody. And myself, I'm trying to gain that financial freedom and just freedom in general, freedom of my time, that, no one has to tell me where I should go at this time and what I should do. And I think that's the most expensive thing in the world, because, if you ask Elon Musk, he said that at a Joe Rogan podcast, if you watched it, he said that he is looking to get that freedom of time, not even financial freedom as much, because, money will go at some point, but the fact that you can do, anything you want at any time, essentially, well, roughly, of course, he's a busy man. I think that's the best thing about being an entrepreneur. So if, in short, not all people have a purpose beyond 9 to 5, but if they think they can go for it, definitely go for it.
I agree. I think, yeah, of course, employees are needed for the economy. Otherwise, the economy won't run. But I think, yeah, but I think there's lots of hidden potential that among the population, many people don't realize that they can become entrepreneurs. And I think if you're creative, if you're innovative, then I think they should just go for it. Moving on, what makes you hungry?
It's a good question. Before interview, I actually thought about it a lot. Yesterday, when I was reading the questions you sent me, I was actually, thinking, actually, where does my drive come from? Like, why am I so ambitious about what I do? Why I'm so passionate? Um, I think the answer is quite simple. I just want to prove others wrong and prove to myself that I can do it. And I just love what I do. So, when you wake up every morning and you know that you're working hard towards a cause that is so close to you and you're so passionate about it, I think that's priceless. And, I just want to prove everybody wrong. I just want to show that I can do it and prove to myself and my family that I can do it. That's quite simple, but that's the truth.
Nice. I think that's a really good motivation to have to get up and wake up in the morning and pursue your dreams. That proving others wrong. I think whether it's just people who don't. There's lots of naysayers and negative people. You just have to show them that it can be done. Be an optimist and just prove them wrong. Completely agree. Now moving on to cryptocurrency. Why does cryptocurrency fascinate you, being in the industry yourself? And explain crypto a bit to those who don't know in the audience.
Sure. Well, as you probably read the article about me and my interview at the Washington Post, you took a line out from them. Oh yes, I did say cryptocurrencies do fascinate me indeed, and that's simply because they are kind of one of the first methods of decentralized finance. And I think it's time for the banks to rethink their existence. Of course, we still need them, but let's say 20, 30 years ago, banks were key. They were they had the main role in the economy. They regulate all the policies, the money flow, essentially. Right now, that might start changing, and that's exactly why I love crypto. They start revolutionizing the financial industry. They essentially took over the world rapidly in a matter of years, and they're still growing, and it's going to only continue. So because they're so rebellious, let's say, that's why I love it, and that's exactly the kind of strategy we have at Wicked. We're sort of those small rebels that are going to continue growing and take over the industry.
That sounds exciting. Go on.
Absolutely. No, I just wanted to add in terms of explaining crypto. It's actually really hard to explain crypto in simple words. What I would say, if I were to explain it as somebody who doesn't know much about it, let's say you have a coin, let's say Bitcoin, that's the most popular example, and it's built on a number of blocks, and those blocks form a chain, which is the blockchain. The blocks have encrypted information, and they're very, very hard to break. Essentially, you can't really get access to that info unless you're one of the best hackers in the world. Essentially, with that coin, you can either trade it, you can pay with it, and you can buy it essentially on the market, and it's not regulated by the bank. That's probably the simplest explanation I can really give. Not going into all the technical aspects of cryptocurrencies because they are quite, there's quite a lot of it. But if you're actually interested in how blockchain technology works and how crypto work, definitely read a book called Basic Blockchain. It was written by one of the Oxford professors. And before I actually started the business, I read it from core to core, literally every single word I remembered, and it's crazy. But I loved it, so definitely read it.
Why Wicked?
Why did I start the company, or why the name?
As in the company, why Wicked?
So why did we start it, essentially?
Yes.
Well, as I mentioned before, I was really fed up with the system in the fashion industry that was there at the time. So you know, the influence of StockX and Goat, that made me quite angry, and the fact that I, as a 12-year-old sneaker reseller, couldn't sell properly, and I had to find other ways, and the fees of it skyrocketing, and everything was just so inconvenient. That made me think, what can I actually change? What can I do? How can I improve it? And I had an idea at the start where we'll have a fashion marketplace, but better than StockX and better than Goat. And then I start asking myself questions how we can do it. And funny enough, I was ready to close the project before we even started, because we did not have a strong USP, unique selling point. And then my friend Dennis, we're going to mention him again, who was really into crypto at the time, he offered me to look at the crypto side and maybe try to integrate it. And then when I did look at it, I thought that, what, we're going to be the first fashion marketplace to actually accept crypto, and that'll be quite cool. And we'll drive that innovation. We will have a USB, will be quite unique comparing to StockX and Goat. And also we have built our own technology called UVSC that you mentioned just at the start, standing for ultraviolet scanning certification. Essentially what it is, we're going to have ultraviolet barcodes on the items, on the certificates that we're going to give out to our consumers. And each barcode is linked to a blockchain, essentially, so that all the information about the item is stored on our private blockchain. It won't be tokenized, so it's just going to be a private blockchain made just for us. And all the information about the item is stored up there. So essentially the whole supply chain after the item leaves our facility, is defended. There's no way anybody can say this is a fake item because it was checked. All the information is stored in the blockchain, and we have that certificate that proves it. So essentially the consumer can be 100% sure that this item is definitely authentic, and we have it in our blockchain essentially. So Wicked is all about making our customers happy and driving that innovation into the kind of cryptocurrency and the e-commerce world.
Okay. And obviously, you must have put a lot of hard work into this, I'm sure, into this business. And with hard work comes some challenges, of course. Any like ambitious project you're doing, there's always going to be challenges. What were your hardest moments in business?
I can say that one of the hardest moments was when we started talking about money, when we started trying to fundraise. That is definitely by far the hardest thing you can ever do in the business, because every single person that you reach out to that has money will try to find things and reasons why he shouldn't invest. So every single investor we talk to tried to pick the worst out. He's going to scan your pitch deck and he's going to find even the slightest, tiniest things that he doesn't like, and he'll say, yeah, this is a reason we don't want to invest. And also, I think, and I definitely know it for a fact, that a lot of people did not take me seriously due to my age, which got me really, really angry, because I think it's a lot about experience, not the age. And since I've been around for about 5 years now, and I do have the experience, I do have the knowledge, I might not have a certain level of knowledge that the CEO of Google has. However, I'm still working towards it and improving day by day. So the fact that a lot of people did not take me seriously simply because I'm 17, that's pathetic. And the young entrepreneurs that reach out to me, I always help them, and I always tell them, don't listen to anybody. Literally, they don't know who you are. Think about yourself. If you see the niche, if you see the opportunity, just go for it and don't listen to anybody. And in terms of investors, just keep reaching out, because, you know, I think at this point I've pitched to about 70 different investors and companies, with only about 3-4 actually being interested in investing money, which is pretty much enough. But, you know, a lot of them ask me, how old am I? And I'm like, 17. And they're like, okay, yeah, send your pitch deck, we're gonna have a look. So that's when you know that your age is a problem. And it really shouldn't be, because as an entrepreneur, we are here, you know, to change the industry, to revolutionize it, because they expect us to be 30, 35-year-old men, white men, you know, having, I don't know, worked in banks, and I don't know, having graduated from like Stanford or something like that, or law school. And, you know, that's what they expect an entrepreneur to be, but that's not the case anymore. And we're here to prove everybody that, you know, the young generation, essentially kind of the Gen Z generation, is here to shake up the industry. And that's what we're trying to do here. So, you know, next time an investor asks me about my age, I'm just going to ask him, why does that matter? Because if you're judging based on my age, it's a straight no from me. Doesn't matter how much you're offering.
I agree. I think age discrimination is a huge issue in the business world. They just don't take us seriously, do they? I've experienced the same thing as you before, when I was pitching my idea to someone, and they just said, "But why so young? Why it's just ridiculous." I think, quite frankly, I think you know, experience matters more than your age.
Absolutely, no, absolutely, and that really angers me a lot. So, you know, that is a big problem in the industry right now, and it's still the criticism they give you. You know, you just have to accept it as well. But, you know, you have to pick out the best bits and improve on those, because you know better than they do, because this is your business. They can't know better than you can. No way.
Sure. What is your number one advice for the youth who'd like to get started in entrepreneurship?
Don't listen to anybody. Just go for it. Honestly, so many people did tell me, you know, oh my God, you're kind of Elon Musk wannabe. You are gonna fail. This is not gonna work. Why are you even doing it? Why are you wasting your time? Trust me. Don't listen to anybody. You know, if you think something works, then go for it. You have nothing to lose, especially at a young age. You've got a roof over your head. You've got a bit of money in your bank account. So, you know, just go for it. You have nothing to lose at this age. Just go for it, because you will regret it in the end. I'd rather you try it and give your best and fail, rather than, you know, not do it, because either way you might fail. But if you don't start, then you're never going to know what you could have achieved. So that's one of the reasons I started Wicked. It was really frightening for me. I was really afraid of, you know, what's going to happen, how we're doing this. But essentially the process is like that. You know, the structure is that you just learn as you go. And that's actually one of the best things about it. So I'd say just keep going and actually go for it. And don't listen to anybody, not even your parents, not your friends. Listen to yourself. That's the best thing.
That's a good answer. And now, you mentioned to me before that you wake up at 4 a.m. every day. And you also talked about the lion mentality. Please explain to our audience.
Absolutely. Well, I wake up at 4 during the summer. So obviously while I'm at school, I wake up a bit later. So obviously during the summer, I wake up at 4 a.m. because, you know, the sun rises quite early. But right now, I wake up at 5 a.m. every day. Sorry to disappoint you a bit. So yeah, I wake up at 5 a.m. every day. I meditate for about 10 minutes to get my thoughts and, you know, mind clear. I take a shower, I dress up, and I start with work at about 5:30/6, obviously depending, you know, on how I feel, because I listen to my body and I try to get that, you know, 30 to 45 minutes just for myself, just to make sure, you know, I'm ready for the day. I'm in good mood, you know, and I'm ready to go for 100%. I usually work for about 1.5 to 2 hours before actually school starts, because I'm still studying at school, funny enough. So that's about 5:30 to 7:30, and then obviously after school's done, I come back home and I have to work for about 3-4 hours. That usually is from about 10:30 to about 1:30. So I don't sleep as much normally, but I think it's definitely worth it. And actually, the hard bit is you have to fit in meetings between lessons and in lunchtime, and everything like that. And it's really funny, to be honest, because it feels like, yeah, you're still at school. You finish your maths class, for example, and then in 10 minutes you have a meeting talking about $300,000 investment. So that is quite amusing. The lion mentality, it's something that I talk to you a lot, actually, I think, and I just try to spread it around. It's basically about not giving up ever, and always being the best, always trying to be the best, and doing everything you absolutely can to be the best. If that guy is waking up at 6 and works for 2 hours, then I'll wake up at 5 and work for 3 hours. It's about if he has 10 meetings in one day about investment, okay, I'll have 15, I'll give it a go, I'll do more, I'll do it better. So the lion mentality is about making sure you are the best, and that's what I'm trying to do. That's why I wake up. That's the reason I wake up every day, to become the best in the industry and in the world. At some point, obviously, it's hard to determine who's the best in the world in terms of your knowledge and everything, because we're not really ranking everybody here. But I just want to become as educated as possible, and I just want to continue my path towards the success. That's basically the reason.
I think that's a great philosophy. I think staying above average, and that business mindset, like the lion mentality mindset, that is required to stay ahead of others. I think that's vital if you're building an ambitious project or business or anything. So I couldn't agree more, Nikita. I think the morning routine sets you up for your day, and it's just very underrated. Many people don't realize the importance of having a morning routine, and I think that's a great thing to do.
Absolutely.
Now, how do you maintain to stay productive? Do you have any productivity tips for the audience who are listening? Because it's very hard to stay motivated all the time. So please share your advice.
Sure. Well, when I work, I always listen to music. That is just something, that's just part of me. I can never go anywhere without music. I can never work without music, essentially. Only when I really have to concentrate, like from the meeting. However, I always have music in my ears, and that's a big thing, especially when you're waking up in the morning. It's 5 a.m. It's not easy to wake up at 5. When you put in your headphones and you just blast some music, that just makes you feel amazing, and you're ready for the day. And if I'm getting tired, for example, in the evening, just take a break. It's not a big deal if you take a 10-15 minute break. Watch some Netflix even, or I don't know, just go on your phone, call your friends. Because obviously you have to have some social life. Obviously, I don't really do as many breaks because I'm so obsessed with my work and I just want to continue. But even when I do get tired, I just get up, do a few steps around the room, just even exercise a bit, get my heart rate up, and then I'm not tired anymore. I'm ready to continue. So I think listen to your body and then just find what works for you. I'm good with music and some exercise, but if something else works for you, for example, taking a 10-minute nap, actually, which is really good, which I do sometimes, in between meetings, for example, when I'm really, really tired and I think I'm going to fall asleep, 10-minute nap, and then I'm refreshed, just as my body works. So find what works for you, but these are my tips.
I agree. I think breaks and regular naps are crucial to staying productive. Otherwise, if you don't take them, then the human attention span is not very huge. So I think we just need to. It's crucial that we take breaks. So I think I agree that that's the right thing to do. Now going back to Wicked, what does the next 5 years of Wicked look like?
A lot of work. That's the short answer. I will elaborate on that, but in short, it is going to be a lot of work. We are getting an investment. We are continuing to grow our team. We are, doing our development of actual app. And actually, as a secret, we are going out to other warehouses in London, in Paris, in Munich, and in Milan. That's the plan for next, 1.5 years. And is in Africa and South America to move with there. So we are really keen to bring the kind of secondary fashion market in Africa and South America, essentially. So that is going to be a big thing for us. And obviously, we just want to grow. As a business, you really want to maintain the high growth rate. So that's what we're trying to achieve. So the next 5 years are going to be very busy. But even there might be the case that I'm happy to listen for, a good few $1 million offer if they're interested.
Wow, that sounds exciting. I think so. You're going international, basically.
Absolutely, we are.
Nice. And who inspires you?
Really good question. There are actually a lot of people who do actually inspire me. I owe a lot to my family, first of all, because they didn't say, stop this nonsense or anything like that. I mean, they did a few times, but as I told you, never listen to your parents. And when we hit valuation, they actually realized that this is something that might be big in the future. I owe a lot to my personal coach, Arian, who was around me, who really influenced me to getting into entrepreneurship and just teaching me never give up. And the mental side of things is very important. That's what he really taught me, and he had a huge influence on me. I say a lot of my friends that were around, I'm sure you know Massimo as well, who was one of the first people who actually believed in the project and said this might work, which I really appreciate. And I think Dennis, who we don't talk with anymore, he was probably one of the number one influence on me, because he kind of had that idea of maybe involving crypto into this, and that's basically the reason we're still on the market. It's the reason why we're still going with this project. So I think I owe a lot to him. So this is kind of my big thank you to all of them for inspiring me into this, and I couldn't be happier with what I've been through, and especially with people that were around me. So it's really important to have those people that will continue inspiring you and will be by your side no matter what. So that's really who inspires me.
Wow, that's really beautiful. I think definitely, I think gratitude towards people who inspire you and encourage you is vital, because otherwise, without them, I'm sure you wouldn't be where you are right now.
I wouldn't be. They really influenced me as a character and my personality, and me developing as a man, essentially. So, you know, people around you are vital, and I always prefer to stay humble and remember where I started, because, you know, right now it may seem like, you know, I mean, I'm not a big guy in the industry, but I'm trying to get there. But, you know, I remember how I started, like 12-year-old kid selling sneakers. So the journey that I had, you know, I always remember where I started, and I always remember what challenges I had. So, you know, never forget where you came from, because once you've been somewhere where others might start. So that's why I'm always happy to, you know, have others reach out to me and ask for help, because I know what it feels like when you're all alone starting a business, not knowing anything. So, you know, definitely reach out to me if you need to.
That's good. That's good. Now, we have a closing tradition in this podcast. The previous guest writes a question for the next guest. Now, obviously, we haven't had a previous guest because this is our first episode. So you're going to write a question to me. So just DM me secretly a question for the next guest, and I'll ask them at the next episode.
Sounds good. I will do that.
Nikita, thank you very much for joining us. And it's been a great pleasure having you.
Thank you very much. Thank you for inviting me. Great. Cheers.